important homestead blessing.
A time-honored skill that we have enjoyed is the adventure of making our own dairy products.
There's nothing better than homemade ice cream on a summer night.
Practical and fun, this is an art the whole family can take part in.
So come on in, let's get started.
One of the great things about homesteading is all the wonderful dairy products you can make from milk. Let's get started with one of our favorites.
Hand-cranked homemade ice cream. It is wonderful, the taste is excellent, and it does take a little harder work sometimes and takes a little longer, but I think it's worth the effort.
Oh yes, definitely.
Today we're going to start with a basic ice cream recipe, and what you start with is 4 cups or 1 quart of milk. Would you like to pour this in our pot?
Sure.
What our general idea is, we're going to warm up the milk, and also you're going to use 4 cups or a quart of cream. It's easier for us to just put it in the quart jar because you know it's already measured. If you want to do that ahead of time, then you don't have to measure 1 cup at a time.
So we're going to start it on low?
That's right. You want to have it on low to medium heat because you just want to basically really warm it up. And I'm going to go ahead and pour in the milk here.
The color is beautiful, nice and creamy, isn't it? It already looks good.
While this is heating up, I'd like to ask Mom and Jasmine if you'd like to crack 5 eggs.
Sure.
Your next ingredient is going to be 5 eggs that you want to beat well. Crack these in a bowl here. We raise our own chickens, and so we get our own eggs. And we've noticed sometimes when you've raised your own chickens, they seem hardier. The eggs are more yellow and rich, but the shells can also be harder to crack. Your next ingredient is going to be 1.5 cups sugar, which you're going to mix in really well with the eggs. You want to blend that really well because you want to have like a creamy consistency is what you're aiming for.
So we're just going to whip these eggs up.
Is that about 1.5 cups, Mom?
Yes, ma'am.
And just whip it right into the...
That's right. Just pour it in there and you can mix that up really good.
This is
You
something,
need a spoon to start stirring your milk
this would
here.
be fun for the children to do, wouldn't it?
Oh, this is such a great project for the whole family to do, to get your children to help with.
Children love to
Oh, I
crack
know.
eggs.
I love to make ice cream, and I'm not a child anymore.
It's so much fun though to make homemade ice creams.
Now you're going to want to add 2 teaspoons of vanilla. Some recipes only call for, I think, didn't we see one CC that called for like a teaspoon of vanilla? And I thought, vanilla ice cream with just 1 teaspoon of vanilla? I mean, seems like you could use more than that.
Vanilla.
We like vanilla.
So actually, if you aren't a big vanilla fan, you can put in less. But if you really like vanilla like we do, you can put in more. So in this recipe, we're using 2 teaspoons.
Now how warm do we want our milk to get here?
Just until it's really, very warm. It doesn't have to be hot. You don't want it to boil. So I guess you can test it with your wrist, and when it gets warm, then you're going to add your egg mixture. The milk is warm enough, y'all.
Oh,
It's
wonderful.
warmed up.
So
We're
we
going
start-
to add the egg mixture into our milk now, our milk and cream actually, and we're going to stir that up well, just slowly, gradually. You want to add it slowly while she's stirring. You don't want to like dump it all in at once.
It's looking more like ice cream already.
It is. It's actually getting that ice
gets
cream
that
color. It looks
color,
like melted
the
ice
vanilla.
cream. What we're going to do next is we're going to let this cool down because you want it to cool a little bit. You don't want it piping warm or piping hot when you pour it into your canister. So we're going to let this cool down, and then we're going to hand crank it. We are ready to start the most fun part of ice cream making, and now we're going to crank it.
But we're going to leave the cranking up to y'all. So thank you for doing that.
But can we come back and taste it?
Oh yeah, sure, definitely.
We'll see in a little while.
All right, can you hand me that pitcher there, and I'm gonna just pour my mixture into this pitcher. Take this out. Careful here. Go ahead. There we go.
That is so beautiful.
I know.
It looks so creamy and good. It almost looks like you could drink it right now.
I know.
All right.
You want to grab the canister?
Sure. This is going to be what we pour our ice cream in. This is our canister here. Let's take this off. And what we're going to do is we're going to set our canister in our ice cream freezer. Well, let me take off the top so I can make sure it gets on there. You think that's on? All right. Now, you ready to pour in?
Now we'll pour it in.
So what is this going to make? Maybe about a half a gallon of ice cream, you think?
Yeah,
Something like that?
Yep.
Probably a little more because
Maybe
we
a little
used
more.
a quart of milk and a quart of cream, which makes about a half a gallon. And then we added eggs. So I guess it's going to be more than that, isn't it?
Yep.
Now we're going to put our top back on. Do I need to get the ice ready?
Yeah.
Okay. We have our ice ready. We're going to pour our ice over the top of the canister here. Now, if you have big ice, you might want to put it in a bag and hit it with a hammer and crush it up some. And you might want to make it a little more fine. You can see some of this ice is pretty fine, but there's big pieces in here too. So you can crush it up if you want to. It's cold.
Oh, I bet.
You just want me to start pouring it over there?
Yeah. I'll just
Okay,
put
here
a
we go.
nice layer of ice here all around.
You want to put it all around your canister, not just on one side. You got to make sure it's on all sides. So I'm going to pour some this way now. Okay.
All right, now we can do some salt. I do a layer of ice like we just showed you, and then we're going to sprinkle some salt in there. Actually, I'm just going to use my hands.
Okay. What kind of salt is this? It looks different. It doesn't
This
look like you
is-
eat it.
No, you wouldn't need to put this on your food. This is called ice cream salt, and you can find this at almost any store or supermarket.
Is it also called rock salt?
You could also use rock salt.
Is it time to put more ice?
Yep, so I just put maybe a half a cup of salt in there. And now we're going to do a layer of ice. This is a great thing to do if you're going out on a family picnic. It's so easy. You can mix up your ice cream, your eggs and your sugar and milk and cream ahead of time, put it in a container and carry out some ice and your ice cream maker, and it's a great fun thing to do on a picnic.
It is. It's a lot
Let
of fun.
people take turns cranking
I
it.
think it's time to add more salt, don't you?
Yep. All right.
Sometimes it can be a mess though, and you might want to do it out on your porch, or like she said, if you take a picnic out in the field somewhere, you could probably make ice cream just about anywhere outdoors. I mean, it's just really versatile, and it's also easy to carry around too. How full are we going to fill it with ice and salt?
I think this is about good.
So it's not quite filled to the top?
No,
end?
you don't want your ice to come up real close to your lid here because you don't want it to interfere with the turning.
That's right. The top of your ice cream canister is not airtight, and you don't want salty water or salty ice to get in your ice cream. I don't think that would taste good at all.
I'm going to put a little bit of
Salt
more
on the
salt
very
on the
top?
top.
Make sure this is all cleared off.
Now it's time for us to put our crank on here.
You might have to wiggle it around a little bit to get it on to fit just right. Is it on now?
Yep, I think it is.
Okay.
All right, now we're ready to start cranking.
I think I'm going to come over here so I can help you hold it. Hold the top. Now, here, how about we turn it this way, and I'm going to hold the top down. Sometimes it helps if somebody's holding the top down, and she's going to start cranking it.
Already that ice is melting down in there.
Should we add more?
Yeah, let's add a little more ice.
What you're going to want to do as you crank it, you'll notice that your ice is going to be melting down. You're going to want to keep adding ice and layering it with salt almost to the top, but not quite. And you just keep doing that as your ice cream's freezing.
Sometimes
More ice in here.
Sometimes it helps if you put a towel over the top of your ice cream maker as you crank it. It helps insulate it and keep it cold in there.
Depending on the kind of ice cream maker you have, you'll have to either crank it a little bit longer, or if it's electric freezer, it probably doesn't take quite as long, does it? But it's anywhere from 20 to 30 minutes. So what we're going to do is we're going to crank this for a while, and then we're going to come back to taste this ice cream.
All right, now We have had our farm girl workout, and I think our ice cream is ready. Let's take a look. Yep.
Oh, that looks so good.
Yeah.
We cranked for about 30 minutes, and it is hard. Look at this.
Yep.
That is beautiful. Let's see, are we ready to take this over to the counter?
Yeah. Let's take it over here.
Okay. We're going to be serving this up here in a few seconds. Right, we're going to have Mom and Jasmine come back to join us because we're all going to have a taste of this awesome looking ice cream.
Let's take this dasher out
Okay.
here.
Let me get a bowl.
You pull that out? Yeah. You might want to have a bowl on hand to put your dasher in because your dasher has lots of good ice cream on it. And you can lick that off too.
Cece, just
Oh, look how
put it right in
that
there.
looks.
That is beautiful. Can we stir this up some? You might have to stir your ice cream up a little bit because, you know, it might have gotten a little harder in some places. Generally, it's pretty creamy. Are y'all ready to serve up some ice
serve
cream?
some.
Yes, we
You wanna
like to
do
get
that.
some sprinkles and fruit ready and just make a little party of this. This is a great fun thing for children to do. They love putting on their own sprinkles and everything, don't they, Mom?
Oh yeah, it's a lot of fun. And you can use you can use your fancy pretty cups. Like I love this glass. I think it's so beautiful. You can use something fancy and pretty like that. You can use something as simple as a waffle cup.
Oh, those are so cute.
Isn't that a cool idea to eat your ice
Great
cream?
idea.
Ice cream cones, of course, are always, you know, one of the most fashionable ways to eat your ice cream. We've got all kinds of, we've got sprinkles and chocolate syrup. We've even got fruit, cherries, nuts.
Wow. This
And I'm
is
sure
gonna be
you
good.
could layer that too. You could probably
yeah.
get fruit down here and chocolate,
Parfait.
and, you know.
Or make
your
a chocolate
imagination.
sundae.
Right. Oh,
One more scoop on the top there. Normally, homemade ice cream is softer.
I think that's full. Why don't you put a cherry and some chocolate syrup on top of this
love
one?
to. Do I put syrup first
Probably.
and then a cherry? All right. I can drizzle.
All right, now we're gonna fill up this waffle here.
This is something
I can't wait to
fun
taste it. It looks so good.
the youngins can do. There, isn't that beautiful?
Start filling it
Some
up.
nuts on there.
Oh,
too.
that
ice
is
cream.
beautiful.
Those
Here
are
we go. I got a bigger spoon to serve this up with. That makes it
All
easier.
right.
Oh boy, we should put
right.
sprinkles on this
Sprinkles.
one.
Oh, Hannah loves sprinkles, don't you, Hannah?
Yeah.
Okay.
Here, we'll put some of these sprinkles. Sprinkle them on top. Make it look how pretty that makes
How
it
about some
look.
blueberries on it too?
That's right. Put some blueberries on this one.
Hey, what about some nuts? The wonderful thing about homemade ice cream, another thing besides it looking good and tasting excellent, is that, you know, we know where eggs came from. We know where the milk came from, right?
Exactly.
Wonderful item from
Would you
our
like
dairy.
to taste some, Mom?
Yes, I'd love to. Okay. Oh boy, this one aren't those colors nice? That white, blue, red, white, and blue.
It's very good.
Whoa. What a blessing to make your own homemade ice cream. And we'd like to encourage you to do the same. There's nothing like the taste of fresh homemade butter. We'd like to show you how we like to make our homemade butter, right?
That's right.
It's wonderful.
What we have here is about a pint of cream in our quart jar. All we're going to do is just start shaking it up.
And it's as simple as that. Now, there are different kinds of churns. This is an old butter churn, and actually I think they're still making these things. This is amazing, and you would just keep turning like this, and this would do a lot of butter for you. And we even take a gallon jar sometimes. And
That's right. If
Yeah.
you want to make more butter, you can put a couple of quarts of your cream into a gallon jar and shake it like that. Like Mom said, you can use a butter churn. Yeah, it's actually fun to make butter because you have the satisfaction of watching. After you've shaken it for a while, you can start seeing around the edges of the jar that the butter will clump up.
Isn't it kind of neat that you get two products? You get the buttermilk and the butter.
That's right,
Isn't that a
you do.
blessing?
It's really
And
cool.
nothing like fresh butter on some pancakes and biscuits. Oh, it's wonderful. The taste. And the butter is usually a nice yellow, depending
It is.
on what the cow's.
You know, some cream, you can use store-bought cream, you can use fresh cream from your own cow. It really depends. Some cream will make your butter a rich, deep yellow, and I have seen homemade butter that was white because of the different types of cow that you get your cream from. All right, we're gonna shake this for about 20 or 30 minutes, until it starts to form into clumps, and then we're going to come back and show you how to work your butter and store it. We've been shaking our cream for a while. We've had this already made up, so we're going to show you. Actually, it's in the stage, it's not quite butter yet, but you can see here, if I can get the lid off, it's kind of tight. It's almost at butter. And what you're going to do when you're shaking up your butter, you're going to watch around the edges of your jar. You can see flecks of butter starting to form. You know it's almost ready. And that's what happened with this. It's a real quick transition. What happened with this is the flecks of butter started to form. And now we have the butter that's starting to clump up together. And I'm going to keep shaking this a little bit more. I'm going to shake it up so it'll be, because you want it to be completely like joined together in one big knot. I'm sure you can see how this is kind of like separated a little bit. We want it to be one big clump. All right, I'm going to put the top back on here, and I'm going to keep shaking this a little bit more. Now, sometimes you like to use a dish towel or a rag.
Yeah, I was just going to say that.
Because if your lid's not on tight enough, it can leak out a little bit, but don't worry about it if it leaks out.
If two people are shaking up the butter, don't stand too close.
That's right. You always want to be careful when using jars because you don't want them to break. Another thing about your cream I'd like to add is you can purchase heavy whipping cream from your local supermarket, and you can use that to make your butter. It helps if you let it sit out in the jar until it's at room temperature. Once it's at room temperature, I think it makes butter faster. Or if you have your own cow, then you can just let your milk, after it's cooled down, your cream will separate, and you can use your own cream. You know what, Mom? I think this one's done.
Oh, wow. That's wonderful. So it's all kind of joined together.
Yeah,
That's
you
really
can
neat.
see through the jar, but I would like to
Great.
look on the inside too. I think it's clumped together a little bit more now. And your butter is going to look pretty soft. It's not going to have like your store-bought butter look, you know, where it's really hard. You're going to have a soft look there. What we're going to do is let's see, if I have another jar, can you get that empty jar over there, Mom?
Can.
What I like to do is I like to pour my buttermilk off as much as I can into another jar, because I like to save my buttermilk to use it later on in making biscuits or chocolate cake. I love chocolate cake. Or whatever your recipes may call for buttermilk. You can use it in making salad dressings. So I try to drain a little bit of that off. It's okay if some butter clumps get in there. It just makes it richer and better when you bake it. Before I put it in my bowl. I'm going to put it here in the bowl.
This one?
We're going to start working it in just a second, but you'd like to pour off as much butter as you can before you start working it. Some people like to rinse their butter off. I don't. If you just work it, you really don't have to rinse it. That's completely up to you. What you want to do with your spatula is just start moving around that butter, and as you work it, more buttermilk will come out of the butter, like that. Let me pour some more off. It's amazing. Sometimes I'll think that there can't possibly be any more buttermilk left in that butter. And you just start working it around and more will come out.
Oh, I think, look.
It's starting to make. All right, here.
Neat.
Let's open this one up.
Okay. Can you open it?
It's on really tight.
Oh, wow.
Now what's happening with this one, this is so exciting. I was hoping this would happen. It's starting, as you can see, it just looks really thick and almost foamy on top, but it's not made butter yet. This is a sign that your butter's fixing to make. You can see it all around the edges, how it's sticking. Before, your buttermilk will just slide off, and when it starts sticking to the walls of your jar, you know you're close. It's not going to take much longer after that.
That's great. Yeah, it's a good feeling when you're shaking and shaking and shaking. Something starts happening. It's a blessing.
All right, Mom, you want to keep
going?
Oh yeah, keep shaking that. That should make a butter clump too.
That's great.
And I'm going to keep working this butter here. Also, if you like, you can salt your butter. We usually don't salt our butter, do we, Mom?
No, because if a recipe calls for, it may call for unsalted butter.
That's
so
true.
We just leave it unsalted. Oh, wow.
All right, you can see how much buttermilk just keeps coming off of this butter. When Mom makes her herbal butters and her honey butters, look at that. Look how close that's getting.
This is beautiful.
Oh, that's so much fun. It's so exciting to do that and see your butter start to make that. Made a lot of butter. I think we're almost done working this butter up, Mom. All right, that's pretty much worked up. I mean, it could probably still be worked a little bit, but as you can see, it's smooth.
Nice. I've got
and
some
there's
more
not a whole lot of liquid to it. There's a little bit dripping out. And sometimes when I put it in the refrigerator, there will still be a little bit of the leftover buttermilk, drops in it still, but it's not going to hurt anything to cook with or to put on your food, just fresh like that.
Beautiful.
And that is one of the easiest, quickest ways to make butter. You can also use a butter churn or a paddle like this. Those are really handy. Those are really nice. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to get a bowl to put our butter in. You can use butter molds. There are all kinds of different butter molds to use. They're really cool. I'm going to let Mom tell you about that. She knows a little bit more.
This is a really nice butter mold. Of course, this is pretty old. Somebody has made this, which is really nice. And what folks would do is they would put their butter in this, and then they probably put it outside. They probably made it in the winter, and it would get nice and hard there, during the winter. And then they would just press. Look, isn't that nice? After it got hard, they just press it out.
Wow.
And they'd have a nice big block of butter. Isn't that nice?
That's so cool.
I love
how
that.
This work. Yeah. Today I'm putting it in a little bowl. I also have little containers, instead of just putting them in a bowl, that measure about 1/2 cup. And I've made a lot of butter. I'll put them in the freezer, just put the lid on there. And that way, if your recipe calls for a cup of butter, I know to use 2 containers. So it's really nice if your container's a cup or 1/2 cup, whatever you use most often, to freeze your butter like that. And I think this is going to look good like that.
You can also use all kinds of butter molds. There's all kinds of butter molds out there. Turn out with a design.
And it looks so pretty.
It takes
if you're
on the
setting
design,
a beautiful
doesn't it?
table, you're having special guests come,
It does.
or even just for your family, it's so beautiful to see homemade butter that you've made with the design from a butter mold. Or you can just have it served in a bowl like this, and you have the easiest, most beautiful butter ever.
Another thing you can do with your butter, besides eating on biscuits and all kinds of pancakes and breads, you can make a beautiful, wonderful gift with honey butter with a little bit of cinnamon.
Usually you would let this just sit out on the counter and it will get nice and soft, but we're just going to do it the quick way. And I use I have a pan on the stove, and then I just put this heat-proof bowl, the butter in the bowl, so it's kind of like a double boiler.
I like to take equal parts butter and honey. That's very easy. We've got about 1/2 cup or so of butter, and I'm going to put 1/2 cup of honey in this little measuring.
Wow, this
device.
sounds so good. It smells
Oh,
good
it's
too.
wonderful. Can I have the little bowl over there to mix it all
Sure.
in? Okay.
Or you
I
could just
the
use
green
this.
one. I guess I
It
could.
might be a little warm.
The cinnamon, I'm going to use probably, I would say, maybe 1/2 teaspoon to a teaspoon, depending on how cinnamony you like it. After you make it, you put it in a jar, and you can give it as the most beautiful little gift.
Oh,
Isn't
that
that
is so
Wouldn't that make a
cute.
nice gift?
Yes.
You would put on the tag the ingredients, and maybe that it will last about a week or so in your refrigerator.
Probably just
Probably
like
be
butter.
eaten up pretty quick.
Of course, it's too good.
Okay, I think that's ready. I can just mash
Yeah.
it up. Okay,
Just leave
pour
it in
in.
this bowl.
Okay, we'll pour it in, and we'll just keep it in here, and
This
we'll
is-
just pour the honey in there.
Oh, that looks so good.
I love to make different kinds of butters.
Yeah, we make herbal
Yes,
butter
herbal
too.
butter, right? And honey butter is delicious. Just honey and butter is excellent, but that cinnamon just makes the most beautiful, and it smells so wonderful. Oh, look at
Wow,
that!
that
Isn't
looks
that
really
pretty?
nice.
And see how easy
Oh, it
this
smells
is?
so
It's
good.
just
I wanna eat
so
it right now.
easy. Just smash it all together.
So you're just mixing it and incorporating that the cinnamon and the honey into the butter. That's about it, isn't it?
That's it. It is.
Ooh,
It's
that looks
almost
good.
done. We can put it in our crock here.
Okay.
You don't have to use this much cinnamon. I got a lot of cinnamon in here, and I got
That's
pretty
gonna be
dark.
good. I'm gonna try some.
Please taste it.
That looks too
And we could
good.
always add a little more butter or honey if we need
Yeah, you
to.
can hardly go wrong with
See
this.
what you think.
That's perfect.
Is it
I like
nice?
it.
You like it with all that cinnamon? Now I'm just going to pour it in. Of course, you can start with a brand new jar, but I've got some butter going here, and I'm going to
That would be
add
kind
it
of
in
pretty.
there.
Do
That's
a little
pretty different
a layered
colors.
look.
Isn't that
Oh, that's nice.
beautiful? Oh, that's nice. And you could probably serve this nice and warm if you'd like. Anyway, here we go. We'll put it up in our refrigerator for a week, or we'll find a friend to give it to.
talking about dairy products today and about making things from milk. We know most folks are going to be getting their milk from the store, but if you're ready for a real adventure, let's go to the source.
I think we need some feed.
Whoa! Sorry about that. Got it right on her head. She don't mind, does she? There she goes.
Have you got a rag for me?
Yes. So Hannah's just gonna wash the teats with some soapy water, and she's using a terry cloth that's kind of gets all the little dirt particles or whatever, and just don't have to like thoroughly scrub her down, but just this gets the dust and dirt off. We're gonna be eventually straining this milk, but we don't want it sitting in there while we're milking, so we're just doing a little cleaning. And of course she's eating her feed, so she's nice and content while this is going on. And here's the bucket. We love to use stainless steel buckets to milk in. They're easy to sterilize and keep clean. And Hannah is she's grabbing her first finger and thumb around the top and just rolling down. Yeah, she's full of milk, so it's going to be the first few times are a little difficult.
Actually, I was just thinking I might get Cece to give me a hand now. All right, Cece, you ready to take a turn now?
Sure.
It's a beautiful afternoon, isn't it?
It is. Today is a great milking day because it's beautiful fall weather. Not too hot, not too cold.